Welcome, Gunrunner.
If you're a regular viewer of my channel, then you have already seen my many different story or videos looking at unreleased consoles and computers. You will also know that I usually cover just one per episode, but today I've decided to go a bit crazy and cover no less than 5 in one video. There is a method to the madness, however, as all these computers form part of the popular Atari 8-bit range that started with the 400 and 800 way back in 1979. So strap yourself in and join me for this wild ride.
When it comes to home computers, the Atari home computer gets high grade.
I use an Atari at home, and I use it for word processing and to teach myself other programming languages.
Well, the graphics are probably some of the best you can find.
The Atari 800 computer not only allows you to play games, it also allows you to learn math and history.
Only one computer lets you enjoy this library of over 2,000 enlightening and entertaining programs. Atari home computers.
The more you learn, the more you can program, and there's just no end to it.
In April 1983, Atari began implementing one of its boldest plans, to design a dual processor system with both the Atari 6502 SALI CPU and an Intel 8088 CPU. This would mean that the machine dubbed the 600XL will not only be compatible with previous Atari 8-bit models, but also the IBM PC standard. Atari had just released a 1200XL onto the market in January of that year, and the designs for the new 600 and 800XL, replacements for the 400 and 800 respectively, had just been finalised. Also known as Project Shakti, the 600XL would have all the advanced features of the Atari home computers combined with the power and expandability of an IBM PC. Atari were working with already established PC manufacturer Toshiba on this new computer that would feature a special operating system which allowed you to switch between PC and Atari, sharing common features such as the external ports. When James Morgan became the new CEO of Atari in the fall of 1983, he cancelled numerous projects including the 600XL, which was deemed to be too expensive to continue with. However, several prototypes and mock-ups of the system had been produced. Rather interestingly, this wasn't quite the last we would see of the project to create an Atari PC, as Jack Tramiel would later rehire the designer of the 1600XL, one Jim Titzler, to design the Atari PC-1. The first of several IBM compatible PCs with Atari branding. We have now moved into June 1983, and both the Atari 600XL and 800XL have been welcomed by the computer community, and sales were proving to be brisk. They both provided the new features and expansion path that the Atari 8-bit series needed, but they were set to be joined by 2 further computers, very much aimed at the higher end of the market. Originally named the 1201XL and the 1250XL, indeed they would share a similar case design to the 1200XL, these new systems would later be renamed the Atari 1400XL and the Atari 1450 XLD. The 1400XL would include all the standard features of the Atari 800XL along with several new enhancements. The first of these was a new custom chip called Freddy, which would not only handle the bank switching needed to include more than 64K of memory, but would also allow the Antic chip to display more colours on screen. Other enhancements included the addition of the SC01 speech synthesizer chip, a built-in 300 baud modem, and a revised version of BASIC with new commands to utilise these. The 1400XL retains a point of difference from the other prototypes in this video, in that a number of pre-production models actually made it out the door and into the hands of testers. For obvious reasons, these examples are now highly sought after. Joining the 1400XL was the 1450 XLD, which would be the new flagship of Atari's computer range. This computer would include all the features of the aforementioned 1400XL, plus a number of extra enhancements, most notably the 2 built-in high-speed disk drives that rise majestically from the top of the case. These high-density 5¼ drives would offer unparalleled speed compared to external units, and had their own dedicated control chip within the 1450. These were also IBM MFM compatible, due to the WD-2797 disk controller used, which would have opened the doors for the XLDs to read IBM formatted disks. The 1450 XLD is the dream machine of most Atari 8-bit computer fans, and indeed there are a number of different prototype versions out there in the hands of collectors. Both the 1400 XL and the 1450 XLD were put on hold during the takeover of Atari's consumer division by Jack Tramiel, who had ultimately cancelled both in favour of his own proposed XE models.
Buying a Commodore 64 computer would make you smart, but buying a 65XE from Atari would be smarter. Both have the same amount of memory, both have typewriter-style keyboards, but the XE has better graphics, better sound, more colors, and it's faster with thousands of software programs, including the best games. And for under $100, it blows the Commodore away. The XE computers from Atari, starting at under $100.
As we move away from the Warner era to the years under the Tramiel family, the first unreleased computer we encounter is the 65XEM. Now I'm sure everyone out there is well aware of the Atari 65XE, the replacement for the 800XL that came with 64K of memory in an Atari ST style case. Well, the 65XEM was an enhancement of that very computer that was first shown at the 1985 CES show. While the XE part of the name stood for XL compatible 8-bit, the new M moniker would signify the word music. This is because the 65XEM would feature the new AMI chip, which was touted as having remarkable capabilities for sound and voice synthesis. The AMI sound processor was originally designed by Atari's Advanced Technologies Group in 1983 for use in newer high-end 16-bit computer systems. AMI was to be part of a new chipset called Rainbow that would offer advanced graphical capabilities too. However, this development was shelved when Tramiel Technology took over control of Atari. AMI was demonstrated at the show performing a rendition of a female opera singer. Then on the fly it was instructed to perform the same opera but in a male voice. Seeing the potential of this new audio chip, Atari's new chief engineer, Shiraz Shivji, intended to implement it into the new Rock Bottom Prize project, which would eventually become the Atari ST. However, the ST's extremely tight development schedule meant that a new revision of the AMI chip would not be ready in time to integrate into the design, and it was quickly removed from the Atari ST specifications and replaced with a Yamaha sound processor instead. As an alternative, the AMI would then be used in this new version of the 65XE computer instead. Unfortunately, Atari ran into issues trying to get the AMI chip to function properly and sold it off to a Milwaukee-based audio design house called Sight and Sound. This company was able to not only decipher the workings of the AMI, but created a newer and more powerful version which they intended to market. However, Atari suddenly reappeared on the scene and initiated a lawsuit that was so frightening that former Sight and Sound employees are reluctant to talk about it to this day. Rather interestingly, one of the creators of the AMI chip was one John Palovich, most famous for creating the hit Atari 8-bit game and inspiration for the seminal Gauntlet, Dandy. From one unreleased computer based on the 65XE to another, this time a portable one no less. In fact, the 65XEP represents the first portable computer designed by Atari, well before the Stacey came along. It too was first exhibited at the very same 1985 CES show, and also garnered a lot of interest from the press. This portable computer's features included a 3.5-inch disk drive, a 5-inch green screen CRT, and a rather large battery pack. It's pretty obvious that with the 65XEP, Atari tended to compete with a similar Commodore SX64, created by Jack Tramiel's previous company. However, this would be priced a lot cheaper than its rival, being touted at just under $400. Both Atari and Commodore's portable computers were an evolution of a design first implemented by the Osborne 1 way back in 1981, which is widely credited as being the first portable computer. It would definitely be a stretch to call these things laptops. Only one prototype of this machine has ever been found, and it's unclear why it never went into production. However, the less than rousing reception to the rival Commodore SX64 likely had a lot to do with it. In many ways, we shouldn't be surprised that there are so many different Atari 8-bit prototypes, especially when you consider just how many models there are in the existing range. But what perhaps is surprising is that these machines all offer genuine upgrades and enhancements over the existing models, making it a shame they never saw the light of day. There was even one more very late entry into this saga in the form of this Super XE game system, an advanced 16-bit console that would retain backwards compatibility with all Atari 8-bit computers. But I've actually covered that one in a separate video, so I suggest you all go and watch that one right now. But before I go, I must thank all my loyal patrons for continuing to support my channel and make videos like this possible. So special thanks to Fonda Fundington, John DiLiberto, Keith, Carl Olsen, Larry Anderson, Mark Lawrence, Mr. Giboto, Psycho Lavos, Coldar Fusion and Scott Maguire. If you want to do the same, please go and check out my Patreon right now and get access to a host of extra content including downloads, exclusive videos, creative insights and much more besides. I've been the Laird, I thank you for watching and I'll see you all again for another video very soon.